Hi everyone, this is Jay String from the Fantasy Lunch Bunch. I'd like to start out this week's podcast with an announcement that we are going to be having a 2v2 Fantasy Lunch Bunch throwdown in Halo 3. Check the description below for more details.
All right, thanks for joining us. Fantasy Lunch Bunch, Episode 4. Sorry for the delay. We had a little bit of a winter storm on Tuesday, which delayed our podcast, so we do apologize for that, but we are up and running. It's Thursday.
Yep.
Fantasy Lunch Bunch, Episode 4. Thanks for bearing with us. Big shout out to our sponsor, Johnny Rage Life, ragelifefamily.com. Go to that website. Go to his Facebook page, Johnny Rage Life at facebook.com. Give him a like. Big techno DJ in Des Moines. Starting right off, division playoffs is what we were covering last Saturday and Sunday. 4 really big games, fun, exciting games to watch. Started off in New England, Massachusetts, with Kansas City Chiefs going up against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Pretty good game, honestly. The Chiefs played a lot closer than I thought they would. I thought Tom Brady and the Patriots would really manhandle the Chiefs this week.
I thought they were going to win.
You wanted the Chiefs to win.
I wanted them to win.
But I did take the Patriots to win, and the final score was 27-20. Most of the scoring done for Kansas City in the last 2 quarters. The Patriots scored every quarter.
Yep.
Touchdown, and 2 field goals. So Patriots with the consistency, Tom Brady doing his thing with Rob Gronkowski. 2 touchdowns from that big giant. 7 receptions for 83 yards. Tom Brady was 28 for 42 with 300 yards. So pretty good game from that man. Alex Smith, 29 for 50. Had 246 yards and a touchdown. Most of the excitement, I would say, came from the rushing game for the Kansas City Chiefs with Charkandrick West, 61 yards and a touchdown. Alex Smith with 44 yards.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was mostly the defense that kept the Chiefs in the game, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
It's what kept the Patriots from scoring a really high ball game. Mad shout out to Alex Smith. He did play a really good game, and I watched most of that game when in the third they had 12 plays for 80 yards on a drive, which he just went off and shedded some tackles, found some open space, and hit a wide open receiver, which was really, really phenomenal.
Yeah, he definitely ran for a few first downs.
Absolutely.
If I remember correctly.
They went for it on a big play on 4th and 3.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
That's the play that I'm talking about, from Alex Smith to Jason Avant. Amazing play. There was a penalty, so it didn't matter. But some shout out to Alex Smith for playing a pretty solid game and keeping those Chiefs in line with the Patriots. And with New England's victory, they'll be heading to Mile High Stadium, facing the Denver Broncos on CBS at 2:05 Central Time, 3:05 Eastern Time. So that'll be a good game. Big, exciting game. Patriots and the Denver Broncos. We'll pause on that because we're going to go over the Broncos game in a little bit. Kansas City, great run this season. 11 straight wins, which is a franchise record.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's
so
good
very
for them.
good from them. Started off really slow, losing Jamal Charles, and then really just not letting it factor into that and winning 11 straight games after. So good job to the Chiefs. Better luck next year. Sorry, Chiefs fans.
Yeah.
It was a good run, though.
I do want to say about that Chiefs-Pats game that on that last play, it was an incomplete pass. It was just a horribly thrown ball, and Chiefs would have had a chance because I think that would have been like 4th down or maybe like a 3rd down and like long. But what happened was it bounced off of Gronk, I think, and landed in Edelman's hands. I was super upset about that. I was like, man, the Chiefs had a chance. Like, I could have got... Like, I was glued on that game in the 4th quarter.
The one where it should have been an interception?
Potentially.
Yeah.
It should have been an interception, and then it
Okay.
landed in Edelman's hands, and he just happened to lay down past the first down. I was like, son of a batch of cookies. Okay, we're good.
So definitely not the more exciting game of the playoffs, but it did happen, so that's why we're talking about it. The Patriots did win 27-20, and then moving on in the afternoon, a much more exciting game in my eyes, the NFC division game, the Arizona Cardinals versus the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Big game. Aaron Rodgers going up against
Carson Palmer.
That's right.
And
Just waiting for some.
The Arizona Cardinals.
That's right.
Yep.
Going up against Carson Palmer is 0-2 in the playoffs and comes to meet with Aaron Rodgers in Arizona to face off for quite a battle. They definitely did have a good game. Carson Palmer broke his fingers a few weeks ago. That was a factor, an obvious factor for Carson Palmer Made a lot of mental errors, bad throws. I mean, throws that you just don't see him make during the year, and that finger being wrapped in tape was definitely a factor if you get to see that game. Green Bay struggled with an injury to Randall Cobb, chest injury. Bad chest injury, goes down, is out for the rest of the game. Good, exciting game with that. Carson Palmer played well in the fourth quarter. Didn't really have a great game in the beginning. Had 2 interceptions, I believe, throughout. Did have 3 touchdowns, though. Your boy David Johnson was a small factor in the rush. Was able to get out there in a few receptions, so...
Had a big third down catch.
I was going to say, set him up.
Right,
sometime.
yep. Set up the game-scoring drive
exciting.
for Larry Fitzgerald there.
We definitely tweeted about
So,
that.
and that's the thing that the Cardinals were really good at, if you look at the stats, is Larry Fitzgerald's
He's
been
banking
there.
on Larry Fitzgerald.
John Brown, though, had 80 yards, and David Johnson's able to rack up 70 all-purpose yards as a mix-in for everybody. So, and that's without Chris Johnson. Did
Andre Ellington played.
Andre
just a little
Ellington, and
bit.
they're very hesitant to really give him a workload. 3 attempts with 3 yards, so he did have a 5-yard run, but that's he lost 2 on his other 2 attempts.
Yeah.
So not a strong showing from Ellington. I really think David Johnson's going to take that start next year.
I think so too. They said at the beginning of the year Bruce Arians did not like to put his faith in rookies early on, which is why Chris Johnson and Andre Ellington were getting the job.
Then it kind of came to the point where it was like, well, you have to.
Yeah.
Because injuries and
success on the field.
That's right. Yeah. As you said, Chris Johnson goes, it started with Ellington getting hurt. Chris Johnson coming in and performing well, and they're kind of like, wow, we didn't think this guy had it in him, and then he gets hurt, and David Johnson was kind of in the mix with Chris Johnson running with him, but once Chris Johnson was out, it was the David Johnson show after that.
Yep.
3 touchdowns, I think, on his starting game, and he's been a very big contributing factor to the Arizona Cardinals, and probably will be coming up next week. So Arizona did manage to run away with the victory. 26-20 was the score there. There's lots of things you could talk about with this game.
Like it was in overtime?
It did end in overtime, yep. Crazy game if you watch that. I mean, how does another team lose to Aaron Rodgers throwing a Hail Mary pass? They didn't lose, but how does that happen? He goes into overtime by throwing a Hail Mary into the end zone again.
He does that, man. He does that. Apparently that's his magic.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
How
it needs to stop happening, but
3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it was, playing the Lions. Now, Aaron Rodgers was only about 48 yards or something like that from the end zone in this game, but he was 68 in the last game.
Yeah, he was long in the last one, dude. Like,
you think
away.
if you were Bruce Arians, you would say, everybody back
yeah,
there,
let's just
knock it down.
Let's just put 11 people in the end zone.
Unbelievable. So that was kind of disappointing. I mean, amazing play from Aaron Rodgers, but I just couldn't believe that. It just
that was nuts, though.
Yeah, kind of crazy, especially when it just happened. I mean, 1 Hail Mary to win the game in a season, I'll give it to you. 2, hell, just run a Hail Mary every possession. You might win the game and score 60 points.
Yep, there you go.
So definitely a crazy ending with that. And then once they go into overtime, the ref Steve Harvey is the coin toss.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
He has one job to do with the coin toss and make the coin flip, and he Steve Harvey'd it. It doesn't even flip. Aaron Rodgers is calling it out, and actually in the rules it does not have to flip. They did say.
Yep, I saw that. I saw that it doesn't have to flip, and they don't have to throw it.
Correct.
Flip it.
Interesting.
The ref just made that judgment call and said, "You're right. We'll give it again." He didn't give him the option to change, and that's what Aaron Rodgers was a little disappointed about. But at the end of the day, it's a 50% chance.
Sometimes you just feel it when it's like,
know.
well, you know what? Now it feels like a tails, though.
Always heads.
It didn't feel like a tails last time. It felt like a heads.
Interesting thing there, if the Packers just don't have enough controversy with winning games and overtime and all these things, then that stuff kind of happens. It's just funny. They can never get away with a normal game sometimes. They just have a controversy ending, like Seattle.
Yeah.
And all those things. So, in overtime, though, 75 yards to Larry Fitzgerald in overtime.
Yeah.
Has an amazing stiff arm.
Fantastic.
Just to open it up. I mean, Cardinals start with the ball, drive it down, no problem. 75 yards, do an option read to Fitz to win the game. Unbelievable call from Bruce Arians. I don't think the Packers saw that coming at all.
No.
For him to get the little shovel pass up there, in there. MVP of that game for sure, Larry Fitzgerald. 175 yards, 176. So, big game from that guy. Big game from Arizona. They needed that win. Carson
game.
Palmer got his first playoff victory, which is good.
Woo.
He can
Go
put
Carson
that
Palmer.
under his belt and stop letting that be a factor in what he does in the playoffs. Hopefully, a lot of those mental mistakes don't follow him into next week going up against Carolina's defense, because they will make him pay for it.
Oh, definitely.
That is a solid.
Oh,
defense.
gosh.
Solid defense.
Green Bay was able to move the ball pretty well, and it comes down to what we say that they do, and it's when they spread the ball out. Eddie Lacy, 90 yards, has a game that he hasn't had for quite a while, and then you get James Starks in there. He has 7 attempts for 23 yards. Not a huge contributor,
Yeah.
but anytime you're able to switch the backs in the backfield, you keep your defense on the toes. So
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Eddie Lacy's in. Okay, well, we got to watch the big monster.
Yep.
James Starks is in. Slot guy. He can run out, get into space, and be open. You know, he's not going to run head up like Eddie Lacy will, but it's just another thing that they have to keep in their
Oh,
mind.
yeah, they got to keep it in
physically.
the back of their mind for sure.
Did you guys happen to hear about Mike McCarthy's opinion of Eddie Lacy at the end of the year?
No.
not.
Called him Big Fatso.
See, you know what? Someone mentioned that to me, and I was just like, well,
sense.
I mean, I guess I get it. But I thought in my head that was like the beginning of the year kind of thing. I didn't know he said it recently, though.
Yep, he said he will not be able to play next year being at that weight. So he's basically saying he needs to lose some weight and quit being a fat bastard. So
Time to order some Subway.
let's try it, yeah.
He could
You
be
know,
the new
and
Subway
that's-
spokesperson.
I think that's always probably a mental aspect of a running back, is to, when you're known as a ground and pound runner, it's like, well, I need to be bigger. So Eddie Lacy's probably put on some weight in the off season. He didn't lose that many steps though, because he could still run pretty hard, but he wasn't as shifty, Mike's word I like, as he was last year. Definitely a contributor, and anytime you add more weight, you're just adding that pressure to your knees. So
Yeah.
it's good. It's bad for injuries to add weight. So if he leaned up a little bit next year, he could be a force to be reckoned with. And you get that ball to James Starks too. That's a doable
Oh, yeah.
situation, dual running back
Very,
scenarios,
very.
and that's something that you don't see as much. You know, the Vikings have Adrian Peterson. They have a couple guys, but nobody who's as apparent as James Starks to that offense. You know, Jerick McKinnon and Matt Asiata are good backup running backs, but they're very streaky. You know, I mean, Starks can go in and have a good game, and you expect him to have a decent game. It's not that same case yet for the Vikings, and that's an interesting factor that the Packers do have, is that dual running back. So it'll be interesting to see what they do next year if Eddie Lacy decides to stop eating those Big Macs and hit the treadmill. Good game, though, for the Cardinals. They will be facing the Carolina Panthers Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
We will wait on that as we go into the Carolina-Seattle game. Holy cow, if you got to watch this game,
Jeez,
it was nothing to watch until the third quarter, basically, if you're
I
a
agree.
Seattle fan.
I agree. If you're a Seattle
if
fan,
you're a Carolina
you probably turn
fan,
off the TV.
You didn't watch
at
the second
halftime.
half because they had 31 points
Yeah,
in the
you think it's
first
in the
half.
bag.
Seattle couldn't even get on the board
No, they couldn't.
in the first two quarters. They even took a 55-yard field goal just to try to get on the board. Steven Hauschka misses
Shanked it.
that, and that's his first career postseason miss.
Ooh.
He was 14 for 14 before that. 55-yarder, you know, I mean, that's no easy feat.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a big miss. Definitely going to kill the mood when you're going into the locker room at halftime.
Oh, yeah,
Being
for
down
sure,
31 points. And the fact that the Seattle Seahawks did come back and get up to, 24 points?
Yep, 24.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the scrubs were in for Carolina on their defense. They weren't. But they definitely weren't.
They scrubbed up for sure.
Yeah, they
You know
definitely
they're
were
ha-
They
playing.
rinsed their hands.
Lack of.
Yes, absolutely.
They're
When
like,
you're
we
up
got 31
points,
points. It's fine. We'll be okay.
you're in there to run the clock out and get out of there and get to next week. So Cam Newton didn't have an amazing game. It was actually the Jonathan Stewart show.
Yeah, it was.
He had 80 yards in the first quarter. So
Well, I believe he broke off that his long 59-yard run on one of the first couple plays of the game.
Yeah,
Yep.
even.
that usually sets the mood.
Yep.
But yes, I mean, the Panthers were up 24-0 after 17 and a half minutes of play.
Yep. Started
That's
to look
unheard
like
of.
the Rose Bowl for a minute.
Right, seriously.
That's what
like,
I was thinking too. Oh
Um,
man, it's being another Iowa game.
the big thing too, I mean, you were just expecting it to be a defense show. You got
Mhm.
Carolina, who's very sound and disciplined with those guys, and then Arizona, the number one scoring defense in the league. Not to Cam Newton, he doesn't care. Not to the Panthers. They just kept that ball rolling, and they never looked back after the first snap. I mean,
Yeah.
Mhm.
every time you would look, it was like, oh, wow, the Panthers scored again. Crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jonathan Stewart, 1 yard run, huh? Crazy. Greg Olsen, 19-yard pass. An amazing catch, too. An amazing throw from Greg Olsen. Back of the end zone to make it 31-0. The Panthers are so sound and disciplined that they are willing to run reverses on the number one scoring defense in the league. That's not that's what teams do when they're desperate to score points. Like,
Oh, yeah.
what do we do to misdirect it?
How do we
This
mix things
Carolina
up?
Panthers are up 24-0, and they're going to run a reverse against the Seahawks. That's not what you do. I mean, that just shows that you have confidence in your team and that they're going to get the play done no matter what the play is called. If they call a dive up the middle, he knows all 11 guys are going to run that play correctly and get some yardage.
Yeah, that's
So,
a nice way to be.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Carolina did keep Russell Wilson in check. Definitely the first half. He had 2 interceptions.
I think at one point he might have. I could be wrong on this, but I think he was 2 of 5 with 2 picks and maybe like 14 or less yards.
Probably.
At the beginning of the game, Wilson was.
Russell Wilson was struggling. It was definitely interesting. I'm glad the Panthers won. I projected the Panthers to win.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I did not think it was going to be that big of a blowout in the first half. I mean, 31 to
I really
nothing.
didn't either.
That's crazy.
I was like,
Unheard
it's going to
of.
be a high-scoring game, but
Um,
both teams
yeah.
all the time.
Little shout out to Seattle for making it a game in the second half and actually getting on the board. I was kind of worried for them,
I was too.
especially when
I
they
was like,
tried
oh,
the
man,
field
I don't know
goal
if I
and didn't
wanna
even
watch
get
it.
that. So, little shout out to them for making it a game. But it was not good enough, and Carolina will remain that 15-1 team and the maybe favorite to face off against the Arizona Cardinals in the NFC Championship.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
It's a coin flip for me. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get into that. But the last game of that week, guys, was the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Big game if you didn't know, because Peyton Manning, who turns 40 in March, started.
Yeah, he did.
Started and he did okay. I mean, he ran the offense, and that's
what happened.
what they needed him to do. You can't argue that the defense played a heavy role for the Denver Broncos because Manning didn't have a touchdown.
Yep.
He
Or
had
an
a fumble.
interception.
He didn't have an interception, but he did have a fumble.
Yeah.
They recovered it, but so definitely not an amazing game from Peyton Manning, and that was what we talked about last week.
Oh,
is can you win a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning? We're going to find out pretty quick here. He did make it a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Interesting that Ben Roethlisberger didn't have a touchdown either.
Oh, yeah.
So it was
Something
a
like that.
Fitzgerald Toussaint with a touchdown and 40 yards. So the main score for the Steelers there. Big shout out, though, I would say, to Antonio Brown. He was hurt. He didn't get to play. And he was criticized last week by us and everybody that he might have been faking that. Pac-Man Jones made himself an idiot in front of everybody and called him a liar, and then he actually publicly apologized. So, a little shout out to Antonio Brown, and a shout out to the Steelers for just having to deal with that controversy. I mean, they're out D'Angelo Williams, they're out Antonio Brown. Big Ben wasn't even
Yeah, it wasn't 100%
was
healthy.
a gray, that he wasn't a for sure thing. So definitely a scary game coming in to Mile High, and not even knowing if your starting quarterback's going to play. So they definitely made it. They played well. They played till the end, but they just didn't play strong enough. Martavius Bryant was the main wide receiver for the Steelers, 150 yards
Jeez, though.
from that guy. Darius Hayward-Bay, 2 receptions, 64 yards. Coates, 60 yards. So again, Big Ben really having to find other options with Antonio Brown out of the lineup.
Yep.
But he did a good job.
Did okay.
Yep. it's Ben Roethlisberger. You don't bet against the guy. He's been there before. He's successful, and he's tough as hell. So shout out to the Steelers. Better luck next year. I did predict the Steelers to win. That was my one miss this week. But as the matchups play out this week, I'm for the Denver Broncos winning this game.
Nice.
Because they do play the New England Patriots. You can't ask for a better end of the season AFC championship with the rivalry of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning.
Oh, yeah.
Coming down to the end. Coming down to the wire.
And most likely the final installment of it as well.
Yes,
Absolutely.
of course.
It looks like Peyton Manning has reached the end of his career.
Yeah, I agree.
And
we said that the first week, too.
and what a way to go out.
Of course.
With a Super Bowl championship. In my eyes, that would mean Peyton Manning can rest easily.
Oh, absolutely.
And not even consider coming back next year.
Totally fitting.
Win or lose, man. He's like, I got one last Super Bowl. So
if he
that's
loses, does he come back next year?
No. Well,
Why?
wait, does he lose next week or does he lose the Super Bowl?
Either or. If he loses the Super Bowl, I would say he's probably more tempted to retire because he got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I got to the Super Bowl.
If he loses this week,
he'll come back, but he'll come back not as the starter for the Denver Broncos.
I'm with you on that one. If he loses this week, I think he comes back for a second shot at the title, but I think he's going to have to swallow his pride, take a major pay cut, and end up as a team's backup, most likely. I don't think Denver will want to keep him around. They've got to figure out something with Osweiler. They either need to pay him some money to keep him around or try Peyton another year and draft the guy. Yeah,
because somebody will pay Osweiler, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh, he can come over to the Cowboys.
So, and that's, as I was saying, if you didn't notice, we're moving on to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, we are.
Because it is the first game on Sunday at 3:05 on CBS Eastern Time. And it's going to be one of the most exciting games this year as you watch Tom Brady and Peyton Manning face off for the 17th time in their careers.
Yeah. What were they? 11 Brady, 5.
Yep. Tom Brady's definitely owned the matchup wins as he's won 11 of the 16 previous matchups. So Peyton Manning's only won 5, but they are 2-2 in the playoffs. So Peyton Manning's got 2 important wins. Tom Brady has 2 important wins in the playoffs. So this is kind of the tiebreaker, you could say, for the best quarterback in the NFL. With that being said, you really look into what is going through Peyton Manning's head with this game, and he's going to try to come out and probably have one of the best games he's ever had. Going up against the Patriots, and Tom Brady always play really hard.
He's going to have to.
And, and that's the thing, too, is he cannot win this game without throwing a touchdown pass.
This is true.
I don't believe.
No.
I would agree with that. It's Tom Brady and the Patriots, they rely too heavily on passing the ball. They like to run up the score, keep their defense off the field as fast as possible.
So time of possession, definitely a big thing for the Denver Broncos for sure.
Yep. Denver does have a little advantage in the rush. They do average about 20 yards more than the Patriots. But, yeah, total yardage goes down to the Patriots over the season. But it's definitely going to be a big game, and I feel like I'm rooting for Peyton Manning just because he's been the underdog all year, and Tom Brady hasn't. Tom Brady's playing football better than anybody right now.
Yeah.
You can't say his age is a factor because he's putting up stats just like he always has, and that's going to be the big thing is Peyton Manning's always been known for his accolades during the regular season as being the guy to win all those games and come back in fourth quarters. But Tom Brady's the playoff king, okay? This guy leads in yardage, touchdowns, completions, and attempts in the postseason. He has over 7,000 yards passing in the postseason.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Shows you where he's been.
So, and it's over 50 touchdown passes and all those things. So the guy is no stranger to the postseason, and that's going to be a big weighing factor for the Patriots. Is Tom Brady's been there. He knows that offense, and man, is he playing good ball right now. With Edelman back in the mix and Amendola, they're going to be a tough team to beat. You got Gronk a truck, like we say, Amendola and Edelman. And Edelman had a pretty good game against the Chiefs, and he started off kind of shady and dropped a few balls and was really getting criticized from the announcers, but he had a couple big plays that really kept the Patriots in the mix and kept that drive alive and kept them to beat the Chiefs. So
when they played in the regular season, I want to say real quick, when they played in the regular season, the Patriots didn't have all their receivers in, so what the Broncos did was essentially double cover Gronk, and that was a huge thing, but now the hot receivers are in, and so how are they they're probably not gonna be able to do the same thing against that, so they'll need a new strategy to play against that.
yeah, and I mean, go ahead.
And that's the question though too, is they will have Edelman and Amendola back in the lineup, but you have to look at Denver's side of the ball too. You've got Chris Harris, pretty solid corner, and Aqib Talib, who most consider one of the better cover corners in the league.
Yep.
So you got to kind of think that, will they take a little bit less focus off Rob Gronkowski, or is Wade Phillips going to march that defense out there and say, you know what, you two can handle these receivers, and we're still going to double cover Gronk? It's kind of a pick your poison here.
Yeah, and with that, you know, Gronk's the leading receiver for touchdowns, and it's very hard to not keep focus on him as he's in every game. But like you said, if you do that, you still have to deal with Julian Edelman, who is fast as hell, and Danny Amendola, who's a playmaker also. So they've dealt with injuries, so their stats are down a little bit this year, but they still have just as many touchdowns as receivers do on the Broncos. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders are tied with 6, where actually their running back, Ronnie Hillman, actually has 1 more touchdown. So you can definitely say the Denver Broncos rely more on the rushing and defense for their strategy to win their games. Mm-hmm. If Peyton Manning comes to play this week, it's going to be a great game. I'm excited to watch it. AFC Championship, it doesn't get better than this. This is what you pay to watch. You pay to watch Tom Brady go against Peyton Manning and have the best game ever. Peyton Manning has an amazing game. I would gladly remember him for that.
Oh, yeah.
Being his last game and remembering him for being the great quarterback that he is.
Worst thing you want to see is Peyton Manning trot off the field in the fashion that Dan Marino did back in 1999 when they were handed a 62-7 loss by the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first round of the playoffs.
62 to what?
62-7.
Wow.
A little bit of a coming out party and then some.
Yeah. Seriously.
Wow. That's a whomping in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely, that's definitely going to be something Brady has to overcome, is any pressure and the expectations of having a great game, because that's very mental, and any mistakes that are made are going to be 10 times in Peyton Manning's head versus what they would normally be. So definitely an exciting game. We're going to run around the horn and do predictions really quick. We're going to start off with Stretch.
Thanks, Stretch. That was good stuff.
Good call, Stretch. All right, J-String. New England Patriots versus the Denver Broncos. Who do you have, my man, and why?
I'm going to say the Denver Broncos, mostly because I think it's from the heart. It's because Peyton Manning, I think he's going to have a good game, which is great, and I think the Denver defense is going to show up and be able to play against all those hot receivers and Gronk. Yeah, that's really what I got. I'm going to say for a score, the score I'm going to say it's going to be the Denver Broncos are going to have to get more than 28 points. So I'm going to say Denver's going to get, it's going to be 31-28. It's going to be a close game.
All right. 31-28. Denver
Last
Broncos taking on the New England Patriots from J-String. Money Mike, Mr. Analysis, Mr. Stat. Who do you have and why?
Somewhere in my gut, I feel like a lot of times the Patriots, I know you said the 2-2 in the postseason, 11-5, 11 to Tom Brady, 5 to Peyton Manning. But like Jacob said, I think there's going to be too much heart in the game, and I'm going to have to go with the Broncos on this one.
Wow, okay.
I think they can handle it. I was just scrolling through here, and I see Chris Harris is saying his shoulder injury feels
Isn't
a
a
lot
big deal.
better.
Yep.
And
He plans to play Sunday.
Oh yeah, and with Aqib Talib out there on the other side, and that they just have so much depth in their front seven. where that they can get so much pass rush going. The Denver Broncos can. I think they can maybe disrupt Tom Brady a little bit, keep his passes short, which I know he likes to do, and he will take the underneath routes. He's good against the blitz, but I'm going to have to go Denver. I always go low scores. I'm going to go low again. I'm going to go 24-21 as a final.
So we're field goal in it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. I like it. And I've thought about this prediction since Tuesday when our podcast got canceled, and it is so hard to root against the Patriots. I hate them as a team, but they win, man. I really don't want us all to choose the Broncos and then have the Patriots win, as I don't want also.
Of course that'll happen.
Like Jacob said, it comes down to a gut instinct at this point. It almost just comes down to that I want Peyton Manning to win. I want it to be his best game that he's had so he can go to the Super Bowl, retire as a champion that he is, and be done. Tom Brady said that he thinks he can play for 10 more years. Peyton Manning has never said that recently.
Right.
10 years ago, he might have.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, his body's not going to allow him to do that, but his mindset for him to say, I've got 10 more years left if I can play like this, he's not ready to be done. Tom Brady's going to have great seasons. He's not done.
No.
He'll come back, and they're going to be a playoff team next year probably.
Yeah.
You don't bet against Tom Brady. But I am going to because I want Peyton Manning. I promise my heart will not be a deciding factor for the Carolina and Arizona game.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
But I like Peyton Manning as a person. I think he's dealt with a lot of adversity this year with injury and just being criticized, and then he was talked about doing performance-enhancing drugs and all those things. There's no question that this is going to be a great game, and I just hope that the Broncos seal the deal and go to the Super Bowl. Because then we don't have to watch another Super Bowl with the New England Patriots.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. No.
Yeah. Score-wise.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to do this. Peyton Manning's going to have 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdown passes. They're also going to have a defensive touchdown and a rushing touchdown.
Nice.
Okay? So that'll get him up to 28?
Yep.
Minimum, yeah.
28.
No, not necessarily.
Not minimum.
But field goals as the normal. We'll do 28.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And New England will be 21. So the Broncos will win by a touchdown, and it's because Denver's defense really gets it done, keeps Tom Brady in check, brings a lot of different looks to him, because that's what's important, is if you can get Tom Brady to think, you might have a chance. But if you don't, because he's seen everything, you're going to struggle. So 28-21, Denver Broncos. Peyton Manning has 2 touchdowns. No interceptions either.
Nice. That's good.
2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 300 yards at least.
Ooh.
So he's going to put up a big game. I like Peyton Manning in this.
He's going to have the game of his life.
It's at Mile High, so it's at home.
That's nice.
And
you have that behind you.
They're coming off of their win earlier this year from the Patriots. So Manning's going to bring this game, and the Broncos are going to come out pumped. Think about it. Peyton Manning, guys, this might be my last game. I want you to play and give it everything that you have. Hell, man, I'd throw on a helmet and try to run out there and hit somebody if Peyton Manning asked me to. So they're going to be playing hard, and it's going to be a great game. I'm probably more excited about this game than I am Carolina and Arizona because of the history, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Not between Denver and New England, but between Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. So, with that being said, we will move on to the NFC Championship, which is being played on Fox, where the Arizona Cardinals will be playing the Carolina Panthers. Big game. 2 of the top offenses in the league squaring off. Cam Newton going up against Carson Palmer. Cam Newton has been a stud all year long. 35 touchdowns just passing. He has 10 rushing touchdowns also, which is 45. Can't give Carson Palmer too much of a non-look because he has just as many passing touchdowns as Cam Newton does. So definitely going to be an exciting game in the way that the Cardinals were able to spread the ball around against the Packers last week. Means it's going to be exciting. They got a lot of different plays that they can run. They have a lot of different weapons. David Johnson will be definitely looking to have a bigger game than he did last week. 40 yards was what he had, 45-ish, I believe. But he made the plays when he needed to, like we said. He had the big conversion to set up the game-winning drive in the fourth quarter against the Packers.
Yeah.
Definitely going to be a strong contributor in this game. Don't ever overlook Larry Fitzgerald, the man, the myth, the legend. 175 yards last week. Will definitely be looking to have a big game against Carolina. Now, do they put Josh Norman against Larry Fitzgerald this week?
I think you have to.
I think you do.
It's
I haven't heard a lot of bickering or anything like Josh Norman likes to set up to make it a huge rivalry or to make everybody watch. And it's probably because he knows Larry Fitzgerald is one to not be messed with. You know, there's Megatron and there's Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
who have been around and, but Larry Fitzgerald's done it for a long time. And he's not one to be messed with. And last game was a contributor to that. I mean, he stiff-armed the shit out of this guy. Just knocked him on his face. Goes for 75 yards. And, I mean, the guy is just an athlete. How old is he?
32 years
32
old,
years.
12
He's
years
been
in the
playing
league.
for 12 years. Okay, so the guy is experienced, and he's always been a good player.
Oh, yeah. He 109 catches this season, 1,215 yards, 9 touchdowns. 12 years in. I mean, you look at other great receivers that have came around during his time, like Roddy White comes to mind.
Yeah.
He's getting up there just about as old, and
Barely talked about this year.
not quite the same production out of him.
It's the Julio Jones show in Atlanta. And
Yeah.
Everybody
Oh, yeah.
forgot about Roddy White.
Yeah.
it is.
And big point, yeah, like you said, that's very Jerry Rice-esque, is to keep that game maker, game changer ability in your later years. And Jerry Rice was able to do that till almost 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Larry Fitzgerald's, he's still got quite a career to go. Minnesota native, I want to say. He was a ball boy for the Minnesota Vikings, actually. Way back in the Dizzy. I always had a little soft side for Larry Fitzgerald, even if he does score touchdowns on the Vikings every now and then. So going into the game, guys, who do you like for the Panthers versus the Cardinals? What do you see that you don't like? What do you see that you do like?
Yeah.
Stretch? Go ahead, you big dummy. All right.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
I agree.
That's all good.
All right. J-String, you're up.
Well, I'm thinking, I'm feeling that the Panthers are going to come out on top. And why? It's because Cam Newton's going to be Cam Newton. He's going to make things happen.
Beast mode.
He's beast mode. He's going to turn it on. He's going to run for his first downs. He's going to pass for his touchdowns. He does what he does. Carson Palmer's going to have a not fantastic game. He's going to make a lot of mistakes, as I've seen him do last week and then also in the past. So, Panthers are going to win. They're going to win 24-17, and that's what I got.
All right.
All right.
Two of the top offenses going up against each other, 24-17?
Yep,
Okay. In favor of the
in
Panthers.
favor of the Panthers.
J-String likes Cam Newton. He has all year. Moving on to Money Mike, analyzing the Carolina Panthers versus the Arizona Cardinals. Who do you got, buddy?
Two very similar teams when you really look at it. Both can run the ball well. Both can pass the ball well. We discussed they're both great offenses in this league. They play well on defense. Hard to go against Carolina because, 15-1 all season. Nobody's thought that they would be as good as they've been, and they just keep finding ways to win. Somehow, Cam Newton gets the job done. But oh man, it's so close. Palmer is, and I'm torn. I think
Flip a
I
coin.
will. Yeah,
Make sure
pretty
it
much
turns
at
over a
this
couple
point.
times.
I think I have to go Carolina on this one. I'm change it up. I know I told you guys earlier I'd stay true to the hometown roots.
What would
Yeah,
David
you did.
Johnson
You did
say?
say that.
What
You
would
said
David
that to us,
Johnson
Mike.
say? Oh my God, he's gonna be so pissed.
Yes, he's gonna be upset.
Like
He's,
really,
he's
me
not
wrong,
gonna
man.
listen anymore. He's not
Prove
gonna
me
listen to us.
he's like really. Better
I
not
just-
see you at our 10-year reunion.
Episode 2 was great. I don't want to listen to this anymore.
Any reasons why, like you said, you're just thinking they're gonna edge it out a little bit, or
I think they'll edge it out. As we've talked about earlier, Carson Palmer struggles in the playoffs. I don't know if he's fully gotten that out of his system yet with that one win. And then Carolina, as I said before, they just keep edging out these small wins and just overcoming all the odds, really. And I think they play better defense as well. So I think that'll help
I
shut
would
down
agree
the
with that,
Cardinals.
yeah. Yeah, you don't. I mean, the Cardinals' D has been a great defense all year, but it hasn't been talked about like the Carolina Panthers' defense. And I mean, the Panthers are just, like I've been saying, physically sound and mentally sound, and it could come down to rushing in this game. You know, Jonathan Stewart had a big game, and if he does again, that just leaves wide open opportunities for Cam Newton. So if I'm Arizona, I'm really watching Jonathan Stewart because he will break on you. So Greg Olsen and Jonathan Stewart, to me, are probably the main weapons. Don't forget about Ted Ginn Jr., though. He's got 10 touchdowns this year. But kind of a late bloomer this year for the Panthers and hasn't been completely reliable like Jonathan Stewart and Greg Olsen have. But that's where I'm going to start to break this down and come down to it. It's harder to choose the Cardinals than it is the Panthers because of the names. If the Cardinals had a little more depth in that running back position now at this point, they did have amazing depth because they had 3 great running backs. Now David Johnson, unfortunately, is a rookie and has to take this on his back and carry it. That's a big, tough challenge against a great defense. And like you were saying, the guy has 8 touchdowns this year, 580 yards. He's a baller. I mean, he's got 450 receiving yards also and 4 receiving touchdowns. So 12 total touchdowns this year just from that one guy.
And already has his mark in Canton, Ohio, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Week 2. He became the first player to score in his first 2 games a touchdown on a kickoff return, a receiving touchdown, and a rushing touchdown.
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
I think you need to say a little bit more nice things than that, too, because I'm picking the wrong team, Mike.
So, with that being said, I'm going to be the oddball.
Whoa.
Carson Palmer gets it done this week, and it's because he had a pretty bad game last week. Well, he didn't have a bad game, but he made a lot of mistakes and a lot of bad throws. I think he puts that behind him. He's done with the playoff talk that he can't win a playoff game because he just did. And, man, Larry Fitzgerald, Michael Floyd, John Brown. Yeah. It's going to be a great game either way. I'm honestly going to make this pick so if you guys are wrong, I think I can overtake the overall win-loss.
You could.
For the season.
I'll mention it.
So I'm going to take the Cardinals. Carson Palmer is going to have 3 touchdowns. And David Johnson's going to have a touchdown. And David Johnson's going to run for over 100 yards.
Ooh.
I have some faith in that man.
Okay.
Nice.
Mike's not this week.
Because Mike doesn't.
Going against my hometown.
So, Arizona Cardinals, 28. Carolina Panthers, 17.
Whoa. Okay.
I don't know where I get that from. I think they're going to play some ball this week. And it's the game we've all been wanting to see. It's the game we have been waiting for, just like not as much as the Patriots Broncos, probably more actually, just because these 2 teams have been elite all year.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great game. I'm taking the Cardinals, the lone wolf, so I can win this year. Larry Fitzgerald, I need you to have a big game, buddy. Carson Palmer, you're going to kill it. So wrapping it up, that's
Very
going to
nice,
leave
yeah.
the 2 games and lead us into Super Bowl 50.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. So if any of us are wrong, there's going to be 2 different matchups either way. So
Yeah.
well, we all chose
the Broncos.
So we all projected Broncos to be in the Super Bowl, either playing the Carolina Panthers or the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep.
Yep.
And if anyone's interested in what the standings are, I'm 6 out of 8. Money Mike and Dano are 5 and 8, and then JT's 4 and 8.
Last place
So,
over here. Yeah, I don't know how that happens. You take some stabs and you miss them.
Yeah.
You win some, you lose some.
I think I took 2 stabs and I went 1-1, so that put me at 6. So.
With that being said, next week will be a little different with the Pro Bowl.
Oh yeah, did we pick that?
So we won't pick any of that. We'll actually run a little different. We're probably going to run some video for you guys. Of
Yeah,
us
we will.
Playing some Halo, talking about the Pro Bowl, and just reviewing any games that we look forward to this year.
Yeah.
Starting that gaming part of our website.
Yeah,
with
we're going
the
to maneuver
Fantasy
into
Lunch
that. We're
Bunch.
going to have a 2v2 Halo 3 Fantasy Lunch Bunch matchup. I'm looking forward to that. Mike said he's played Halo one time.
One time.
JT
dominated.
hasn't played since 3/Reach,
Yeah.
which is in the 2000s.
2007 something.
And Dan and I are not as fresh as we'd like to be, having played Halo 4 last and putting minimal time into Halo 5. Yeah, that'll be a fun game.
Yeah, so
Nostalgia.
definitely check it out. Thanks for listening, guys. Fantasy Lunch Bunch. We're coming down to the last 2 weeks of actual NFL football. The Pro Bowl doesn't count in my eyes. It's just a big show. But the 2 biggest games of the year, the Super Bowl and the NFC and AFC championships, are coming up, and you got your information from Fantasy Lunch Bunch. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube from Fantasy Lunch Bunch.
Yeah.
Give us a subscribe, a like, leave us comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, we like comments.
Let us know what we could do better, and we will gladly do it for you guys. Thanks again, and we will look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Catch you later.
Totally.